The ballroom of Blackwell Enterprises buzzes with elegance. Hundreds of high society guests circulate between Dom Perignon champagne and gourmet canapes. At the center of attention, Asher Blackwell, at 34, is the most coveted bachelor in the city. Tall, elegant, heir to a fortune that moves millions. His mother, Cordelia Blackwell, a 58-year-old woman impeccably dressed in Chanel, leads him among the daughters of the elite. She whispers in his ear, pointing toward a stunning brunette. Asher, Margot looks absolutely divine tonight. Her father just closed that merger with Goldman Sachs. Asher observes the woman for 2 seconds and shakes his head. Not feeling it, Mom, Cordelia insists, now pointing toward a blonde in a designer blue dress. And Sloane, Princeton graduate, old money family from the Hamptons. Pass. A third attempt. Cordelia practically pushes Asher toward a dazzling redhead. Darling, Piper is single. The Ashcrofts are terribly well connected. Asher stops dead in his tracks and looks into his mother's eyes. Mom, I already told you I'm not interested. Please drop it. Cordelia feels desperation growing in her chest. At 58, widowed for 10 years, Asher is everything she has in life. When she lost her husband in that tragic car accident on the FDR Drive, Asher became her only reason to exist. The idea of losing him to any woman terrifies her, but she needs to keep up appearances. A 34-year-old single man generates gossip in their circle. In the back of the ballroom, a discreet figure works invisible to almost everyone. Brielle Santos, 24 years old, wears the simple uniform of Diamond Standard Services. She moves silently between tables, collecting crystal glasses and cleaning small spills. Brielle is naturally beautiful, without elaborate makeup. She works with the dedication of someone who needs this job to survive. For 2 years, she's been cleaning the company's offices, always invisible to the powerful. Asher, bored with his mother's matchmaking attempts, lets his gaze wander around the ballroom. That's when he sees Brielle kneeling, carefully cleaning a spill on the marble floor. While working, she smiles at a waiter who stumbles. "Easy there, honey," she says quietly, helping him regain his balance. Asher observes the naturalness, the genuine kindness. While all the women compete for his attention with calculated charm, there's someone just being authentically human. Brielle finishes cleaning and straightens chairs that were askew. Nobody asked her to. She does it because she genuinely cares. Asher. Cordelia realizes she's lost her son's attention. I was discussing the Vanderbilt charity auction. One sec, Mum. Asher walks away and heads toward Brielle. Cordelia watches him, confused. When she realizes her son is approaching the cleaning girl, her blood runs cold. Asher stops near Brielle, who hasn't noticed his approach. "Excuse me," he says softly. Brielle turns, startled. When she sees Asher, her eyes widen. She knows exactly who he is. "Yes, sir? Did I mess something up? What's your name?" "Brielle, sir. Brielle Santos." Asher smiles genuinely for the first time in years. "How long have you been working here?" 2 years, sir. I clean the offices and today I'm helping with the gala." Asher observes her face. There's no artifice, no agenda, just a working woman trying to earn a living with dignity. "Do you like what you do?" "I do, actually. Work is work, and everyone here treats me with respect." Something stirs inside Asher. In recent years, he's only been around people interested in his trust fund. And here's a woman who wants nothing from him, who doesn't even dream she could have him. Asher turns and walks toward the small orchestra. Cordelia, watching from across the room, feels her heart racing. Asher signals the conductor to stop the music. The sound ceases. Hundreds of eyes turn toward him. "Excuse me, everyone," Asher says, taking the microphone. A murmur takes over the ballroom. Cordelia approaches quickly. "Darling, what on earth are you doing?" Asher ignores his mother. "Friends, I apologize for interrupting, but I need to make an important announcement. Total silence. Brielle watches without understanding. For years you've watched me turn down setups, reject the idea of marriage. Many have wondered why. Cordelia whispers desperately, "Asher, for God's sake." The answer is simple. I was waiting to find someone real, someone genuine, someone who would love me for who I am, not for my bank account. Asher locates Brielle in the crowd. She's frozen. And tonight I found that person. Cordelia feels her legs going weak. Asher leaves the small stage and walks through the ballroom toward Brielle. The guests part ways, whispering, scandalized. The socialites realize he's not heading toward any of them. Brielle, seeing Asher approaching with the microphone, wants to bolt, but can't move. Asher stops in front of her. Hundreds of people watch in shock. "Brielle Santos," he says into the microphone. "Mr. Blackwell, For the past 2 years I've watched you work. I've seen your dedication, your kindness, your honesty. I've seen a real woman in a world full of fake people." Cordelia reaches them, trying to interrupt, but Asher continues. "Brielle Santos, will you marry me?" The impact echoes through the ballroom like a bombshell. Women let out muffled gasps. Men stand speechless. Cordelia feels the world spinning. Brielle looks around and sees hundreds of scandalized faces, some curious, many with obvious disdain. Asher kneels in front of her, still holding the microphone. "I know this seems crazy, I know we're from different worlds, but in 2 years of watching you, I learned that character has no social class. Kindness has no price tag, and true love doesn't care about net worth." Tears stream down Brielle's face. She never imagined someone like Asher could notice her. "Will you build a life with me?" Brielle looks at Cordelia, white with rage. Looks at the guests, whispering with disapproval. Looks at Asher, waiting for an answer. For an eternal moment she hesitates. Accepting means entering a world that isn't hers, facing prejudices. But when she looks into Asher's eyes, she sees genuine love. "Yes," she whispers. Asher smiles and stands up. "She said yes." The reaction is mixed. A few applaud politely. Most remain in shocked silence. Women exchange outraged looks. Men shake their heads disapproving. Asher pulls Brielle close and kisses her. The whispers explode. "He's lost his damn mind." A cleaning girl. Cordelia must be absolutely mortified. Cordelia watches the kiss and feels something die inside her. It's not just social embarrassment, it's pure terror. Asher is her reason for existing since her husband died. Sharing him with another woman, especially one who doesn't belong to their world, leaves her desperate. While Asher kisses Brielle, Cordelia whispers to herself, "My son is all I have. I will not lose him." The next day, Cordelia acts swiftly. She hires the best private investigator in the city. "I want to know everything about Brielle Santos. Past, family, debts, vices, anything I can use." "Yes, ma'am. You'll have the complete report within a week." Meanwhile, Asher treats Brielle like royalty. He buys her designer clothes at Bergdorf Goodman, takes her to dinner at Le Bernardin and 11 Madison Park, introduces her to carefully selected friends. Brielle lives a fairy tale, but notices that Cordelia always watches her with an icy stare. A week later, the investigator returns with disappointing news for Cordelia. "Mrs. Blackwell, I found absolutely nothing damaging about Brielle Santos. Orphaned by her father since childhood, takes care of her diabetic mother, has worked steadily for years, never been in trouble. She has no vices, debts, or questionable past. She's genuinely a good person." Cordelia dismisses the investigator, frustrated. If there's nothing real against Brielle, she'll try the direct approach. 2 days later, Cordelia invites Brielle for coffee at the Upper East Side penthouse. "Brielle, dear," Cordelia says with false sweetness, "you're a lovely girl, but surely you realize this marriage is a mistake." "Why would you say that, Mrs. Blackwell?" "Asher is going through a rebellious phase. This is simply a reaction against social expectations." He loves me, Mrs. Blackwell. My dear child, men like my son don't marry women like you. They have their fun, but they always return to their own kind. Brielle feels a stab of pain, but maintains her dignity. Asher isn't like that. Cordelia changes tactics. $150,000, she says coldly. That's more money than you'll see in a lifetime. Brielle stands up from the table. Are you seriously offering me money to walk away from your son? I'm offering an intelligent solution to something that will end in heartbreak. I won't take it. Brielle leaves the room. Cordelia watches her go with a mixture of admiration and irritation. The girl has more backbone than expected. She'll need more drastic measures. That evening, Cordelia drives through Brielle's neighborhood in Queens. The area is modest but honest. Most residents are hard-working people, but she's looking for exceptions. That's when she spots Donovan Hayes, a 55-year-old man clearly consumed by alcohol, sitting on a stoop with a bottle in his hand. Dirty clothes, unshaven face, the lost look of someone who's given up on life. Cordelia approaches. "Excuse me, sir." Donovan lifts his bloodshot eyes. "Evening, lady. Sorry about the state I'm in." "No problem at all. May I speak with you for a moment?" Cordelia sits on the stoop. "Do you know Brielle who lives over there?" "Little Brie, hard-working kid, always says hello." "What if I told you I could give you $150,000 for a small favor?" Donovan's eyes widen. For someone who can barely afford his next drink, $150,000 is a fortune. "What kind of favor?" "Very simple. You're going to pretend to be Brielle's father." "But I ain't her father. Her dad died when she was a kid." "Exactly. You're going to pretend to be a father she's been hiding." "A father with problems," Cordelia explains. "Donovan will present himself as the biological father Brielle denied out of shame. He'll claim to be an ex-convict, an alcoholic. $150,000. Just act the part until the marriage falls apart." Donovan, desperate and destroyed by addiction, accepts. "For that kind of money, I'll be whoever you want me to be." Cordelia spends the following days feeding information to Donovan. She tells him about Brielle's childhood, where she lived with her grandmother, details about her sick mother. She makes Donovan memorize every detail to seem convincing. If they ask for documents, say you lost everything in Hurricane Sandy. If they ask why you disappeared, say you were ashamed about prison. A week before the wedding, Cordelia executes her plan. Asher and Brielle are at the penthouse when the housekeeper announces, "Mr. Blackwell, there's a man at the door claiming to be Miss Santos's father." Brielle looks confused. "Father? My father died when I was a child." Asher frowns. "Let's see what this is about." They find Donovan at the entrance, purposely disheveled and drunk. "Brielle, my baby girl," he shouts, swaying. Brielle backs away, frightened. "Sir, you're mistaken. My father died 20 years ago." "Dead my ass! Your old man's right here!" Donovan beats his chest. "Why did you tell these fancy people I was dead?" Asher watches with growing discomfort. Cordelia, who is coincidentally present, feigns surprise. "Brielle, darling, who is this man?" "I have no idea, Mrs. Blackwell. I've never seen him before in my life." Donovan staggers closer. "How can you not know me? I'm Donovan Hayes, your father. You were born while I was doing time, but I'm still your dad." "Doing time?" Asher asks, trying to understand. "Yeah, kid. Got 5 years for armed robbery." "When I got out, the girl was already grown, living with her grandma, but I never stopped being her father." Brielle is in shock. "This is insane. My father's name was Miguel Santos, and he died in a construction accident." "Santos is your mother's name. You're Hayes on your father's side." Donovan, coached by Cordelia, perfectly repeats the memorized details. He knows where Brielle lived, knows about her sick mother, knows small facts that make the story believable. Asher is torn. He wants to believe Brielle, but the man knows very specific details. Brielle, help me understand what's happening here. I don't know, Asher. I swear I've never seen this man. Asher tries to investigate. Sir, do you have any documentation to prove this? Lost everything in Sandy, kid, but I can tell you things only a father would know. Donovan perfectly repeats the information Cordelia provided. Cordelia, pretending to be the voice of reason, intervenes. Darling, perhaps you're embarrassed about your family's past. It's understandable, but now that we'll be family, there can't be any secrets. I'm not hiding anything, Brielle shouts. Asher tries to be fair. If he's your father, that's not a problem. Everyone has complicated family. I just need the truth. He's not my father, she cries. Asher, you have to believe me. But Asher remains conflicted. The details Donovan knows are too specific. The seed of doubt has been planted. In the following days, Asher tries to investigate discreetly, but Cordelia sabotages every attempt. When he searches for records, she claims they were lost. When he tries to speak with old neighbors, she invents excuses to prevent him. Asher begins questioning Brielle more frequently. Are you absolutely sure you don't know this man? Positive, Asher. Please, just trust me. But the constant pressure and evidence begin to affect Asher. He loves Brielle, but the doubts are growing. The wedding day arrives. St. Patrick's Cathedral is packed. Brielle wears an elegant Vera Wang dress Asher chose, trying to make her feel worthy of the setting. Asher looks impeccable in his Tom Ford tuxedo, but is visibly tense. Father Gabriel Moreau begins the ceremony. When he reaches the part about objections, Cordelia stands up. I object, she announces loud enough for the entire cathedral to hear. Shocked murmur. Asher turns, incredulous. Mother, what are you doing? I cannot allow my son to marry based on deception. Father Moreau tries to intervene. Mrs. Blackwell, perhaps this would be better discussed privately. No, Father. Everyone needs to know the truth. Cordelia addresses the congregation. Brielle has hidden from Asher that she has a living father who is an ex-convict and alcoholic. At that moment, Donovan stumbles into the cathedral. Cordelia had arranged for him to appear as the uninvited father of the bride. Brielle, why didn't you invite your old man? He shouts drunkenly. The cathedral erupts in whispers. Some society matrons stand up, scandalized. Father Moreau tries to maintain order. Please, let's keep this respectful. Brielle looks at Asher, desperate. Asher, I swear on my mother's grave, I don't know who this man is. Asher is being watched by hundreds of people. The social pressure is crushing. He tries to defend Brielle initially. Everyone, let's handle this calmly. But Cordelia insists, son, you cannot begin a marriage built on lies. Donovan approaches the altar, swaying. Come on, Brie, why won't you admit I'm your dad? I'm here to give you away. Asher looks at Brielle, at Donovan, at the guests whispering. Some are already leaving, others filming with phones. The humiliation is public and total. Asher, crumbling under the pressure, makes the worst decision of his life. I could need time to process this. He doesn't cancel definitively, but asks for a postponement. To the guests, it's a cancellation. Brielle looks at him with tears in her eyes. You don't trust me. I want to trust you, but... No, you chose to believe her. She points to Cordelia, instead of me. Brielle removes her ring and places it on the altar. If you don't trust me, you don't really love me. She walks out of the cathedral with dignity, not running. The guests whisper, but don't boo. Asher remains at the altar, watching the woman he loves leave, destroyed by his own cowardice. Cordelia watches Brielle exit and whispers, my son is safe. She doesn't realize she's planted the seeds of her own destruction. 3 years later, the truth will return, devastatingly. Brielle walks the streets of Manhattan in her wedding dress, not knowing she carries the child of the man who abandoned her. Cordelia thinks she's won. She doesn't know she's lost everything. A month after the cancelled wedding, Brielle wakes up with nausea for the third consecutive morning. She's living again in the modest apartment in Queens with her mother, Rosa Santos, who at 62 struggles with diabetes and high blood pressure. "Mija, you don't look well," Rosa observes, watching Brielle rush to the bathroom. Brielle returns pale, hands trembling. The realization hits her like lightning. "Mom, I think I'm pregnant." Rosa closes her eyes, feeling the weight of the situation. Her daughter, publicly humiliated, now carries the child of the man who abandoned her. "Are you sure?" "I'm going to buy a test." An hour later, Brielle stares at the 2 lines on the pregnancy test. Tears stream down her face. She's carrying Asher's child, the man who chose to doubt her. "I need to tell him," Brielle says to her mother. "Mija, is that wise? After everything, he has the right to know he's going to be a father." Brielle picks up her phone with shaking hands and calls Asher. He answers after several rings, clearly already affected by alcohol, even though it's noon. "Hello?" "Asher, it's me, Brielle." Tense silence. Asher is in the penthouse, trying to forget the pain of regret that's eating him alive. "Brielle, I don't think we should talk. I need to speak with you, it's important." "I don't think that's a good idea." "Asher, I'm pregnant." The silence stretches. Asher drops his glass of whiskey. "What?" "I'm carrying your child." Cordelia, who had been monitoring her son's calls for weeks due to concern about his depression, listens to the conversation on the extension in the living room. "Asher," she breaks into the line, "you cannot believe this." Brielle clearly hears Cordelia's voice. "Mrs. Blackwell, you were listening." "I was protecting my son from lies," Cordelia responds coldly. "You were humiliated publicly. You're desperate. Obviously you'd invent a pregnancy to get back in." Asher, confused and still under his mother's influence, makes a terrible mistake. "Brielle, how can I be sure it's my child?" The question pierces Brielle's heart like a blade. "How can you ask that? You were the only man in my life." Cordelia continues on the line. "Asher, she could be with anyone now. Desperate women do anything." Asher, destroyed by guilt but still manipulated, makes another cowardly decision. "Brielle, I can't deal with this right now. I need time to think." "Asher, please, at least listen to me. Don't contact me anymore." Asher hangs up. Brielle stares at the phone, feeling her world completely collapse. Cordelia hangs up the extension satisfied, but Asher doesn't feel good. On the contrary, he feels even more destroyed. The following months are the most difficult in Brielle's life. Pregnant and jobless, she goes door to door. The public humiliation follows her, especially in Upper East Side homes. "Aren't you the one who was left at the altar by Asher Blackwell?" asks a high society employer. "I am, ma'am, but that doesn't interfere with my work." "I'm sorry, I can't hire you. I don't want gossip in my house." Brielle gets sporadic jobs in more distant neighborhoods where her story hasn't reached. Some humbler employers hire her without knowing her past. "You seem like a hard-working young woman," says Mrs. Chen, a lady from the working-class neighborhood. "I need someone reliable." Now these are small victories that keep Brielle going. Rosa watches her daughter arriving exhausted and feels her heart breaking. Her diabetes worsens with stress. "Mija, I worry about you and my grandchild." "I'm going to make it, Mom. We're going to make it." Meanwhile, Asher sinks into depression. He drinks every night and makes impulsive business decisions. More importantly, 3 times he tries to find Brielle. The first time, he goes to her apartment, but Cordelia follows him. "Asher, what are you doing here?" "I want to talk to her." "Son, you're drunk. You're going to do something stupid." Cordelia convinces him to go back home. The second attempt, Asher sends flowers with a card. "I need to talk to you." But Cordelia intercepts the delivery by bribing the florist. The third time, Asher calls Brielle's old job, but Cordelia had called first, saying he was being harassed and asking them not to pass along information. Asher begins questioning his mother more directly. "Mom, why did that man know so many details about Brielle?" "Because he was her father, Asher." But she seemed genuinely surprised. "What if we're wrong?" Cordelia feels a chill down her spine and works to maintain control. "Son, you're romanticizing this. Besides, if she really were pregnant, she wouldn't have disappeared. A pregnant woman fights for the father of her child." Asher accepts his mother's logic, not knowing that Brielle had tried to talk to him. 9 months after the cancelled wedding, Emery is born. It's a difficult birth at a public hospital, but when Brielle sees her daughter, she knows all the suffering was worth it. "She's identical to her father," Rosa whispers, looking at her granddaughter. Emery has Asher's green eyes, the same facial structure, even a small identical birthmark. There's no doubt who the father is. "Someday you'll meet your daddy, my princess," Brielle promises. Brielle works during the day and takes care of Emery at night. Rosa helps when she can, but her health deteriorates. When Emery turns 1, Brielle sees an ad for free digital marketing courses. Something awakens inside her. "Mom, I'm going to take this course." "But when? You work all day." "At night, online, after Emery goes to sleep." Brielle studies until late hours, discovering a natural talent for business. She meets Jessa in the course, a woman who's also fighting to get ahead in life. "Brielle, you have amazing ideas," Jessa says. "Have you thought about us starting something together?" "A cleaning company." "Why not? We know the business. We have contacts." 2 years later, Diamond Standard Services has 15 employees. Brielle, now 26, discovered she has a talent for leading people and growing even in adversity. "Does Mommy work?" asks Emery, now 2 years old and saying simple words. "Mommy works for both of us, princess." Unfortunately, when Emery turns 2.5, Rosa can't hold on anymore. Advanced diabetes and heart complications take her. "Take care of my granddaughter," are her last words, holding her daughter's hand. "I'm proud of the woman you've become." Brielle cries, holding her daughter, who doesn't fully understand what happened. "Grandma went to heaven," Brielle explains simply. 6 months after her mother's death, when Emery is 3 years old, Brielle decides it's time to seek the truth. She hires a private detective to locate Donovan Hayes. "Found him, ma'am," the detective reports. "He's living in a flophouse in the Bronx. He's in pretty bad shape." Brielle goes to the flophouse. She finds Donovan unrecognizable. Thin, dirty clothes, smell of alcohol. The $150,000 Cordelia paid him was consumed quickly. "Mr. Hayes?" He looks at her without recognizing her initially. "I'm Brielle Santos, the woman you pretended to be the father of." Donovan's eyes fill with tears. "Jesus, what did I do?" "I need to talk to you." Donovan looks at Emery, who hides behind her mother. "Is that your daughter?" "Yes, and she has the right to know the truth about her father." Donovan staggers, but there's genuine remorse in his eyes. "I lied. Cordelia Blackwell paid me to pretend to be your father, $150,000 to destroy your marriage." Brielle feels rage and relief at the same time. "Why? Why did you do it?" "I was desperate. Owed money to loan sharks. They threatened to break my legs. She offered salvation." Donovan sobs. "But the money ran out fast, and now I'm living worse than before." Brielle looks at the man who destroyed her life. She struggles between anger and pity. "Can you prove this? I can tell you everything, every detail she taught me, how she trained me, where we met. I need to record what you're saying. You can record it. I deserve to pay for what I did. Gabrielle records the complete confession. Donovan tells every detail, how Cordelia sought him out, what information she provided, how he was trained to pretend to be Brielle's father. She told me you were a gold digger, just wanted money. But then I saw you working honestly, taking care of your sick mother. I realized I was used to destroy an innocent family. When the recording ends, Brielle still feels anger, but also pity. I won't lie. I hate what you did. But I see you're sorry. If you can ever forgive me, I can't completely forgive yet, but I understand you were desperate. The real culprit is Cordelia Blackwell. Donovan nods. What are you going to do now? Brielle looks at Emery, who plays innocently beside her. I'm going to get justice. My daughter deserves to know her real father. That night, Brielle plans carefully. 3 years have passed. Her company has grown. She's become respected in the industry. She's no longer the defenseless cleaning girl. A week later, fate delivers a perfect opportunity. Jessa arrives excited at the office. Brielle, we got a huge contract. Blackwell Enterprises wants our services for their annual gala. Brielle feels her heart racing. Blackwell Enterprises? Yes, it's a prestige contract. If we do good work, other big clients will come. Brielle smiles, but it's a cold smile. Accept the contract, Jessa, but only use the name Diamond Standard Services. Don't mention our personal names. Why? Trust me. It's business strategy. Cordelia signs the contract without knowing she just hired the company of the woman she tried to destroy. The name Diamond Standard doesn't raise suspicions. In 2 weeks, at Blackwell Enterprises' annual gala, Brielle Santos will return, but not as the humble cleaning girl from 3 years ago. She'll return as a successful businesswoman, mother of a child identical to Asher and bearer of the truth that will destroy Cordelia forever. Mommy's going to work at a party, Brielle tells Emery. Pretty party. Very pretty, Princess. And you're going to meet important people. Meanwhile, Asher continues sinking into alcohol and depression. 3 years later, he's a shadow of the man he was. The company is in crisis. He can't connect with anyone. Cordelia watches her son and feels a mixture of satisfaction and concern. She managed to keep him away from Brielle, but created a broken man. Asher, you need to stop drinking. I can't, Mom. I can't stop thinking about her. Forget that woman. She probably doesn't even remember you. Cordelia doesn't realize that in 2 weeks she'll discover how wrong she is. Brielle not only remembers Asher, but raised his daughter alone and became an unstoppable force. The circle is closing, justice is coming, and Cordelia Blackwell is about to pay for the evil she did without even suspecting the hurricane approaching. The ballroom of Blackwell Enterprises is once again decorated for the company's annual gala. 3 years have passed since these walls last saw Brielle Santos. This time, 200 elite guests circulate through the space, but the atmosphere is different. Asher, visibly worn down at 37, moves among guests without his former brilliance. His expensive Tom Ford suit can't hide the signs of depression. Tired eyes, melancholic expression, movements without energy. Cordelia, at 61, watches her son with disguised concern. She managed to keep him away from Brielle, but created a broken man who can barely keep the company running. Asher, at least smile for the investors, she whispers. I don't have anything to smile about, Mom. Outside, an elegant car stops at the entrance. Brielle Santos steps out, now 27, transformed. She wears an elegant but discreet business dress, well-cut hair, confident posture of someone who succeeded in life through her own effort. She's no longer invisible. Jessa, her business partner, accompanies her. Brielle, are you sure you don't want to bring Emery? No. This could get heavy, and I don't want to expose my daughter to adult drama. She stays with the sitter at the hotel. What if Asher wants to meet her? First, he needs to prove he deserves it. Brielle takes a deep breath. 3 years of preparation for this moment. In her purse, she carries her phone with Donovan's recorded confession. Donovan is waiting in the building's lobby, still showing visible signs of alcoholism, but lucid and determined. Brielle enters the ballroom alone. Some reception staff recognize her as the hired businesswoman from Diamond Standard Services, but no one has yet made the connection with the cleaning girl from 3 years ago. Asher is talking with an investor near the entrance when he sees an elegant woman entering. Something about her posture makes him look twice. That's when he recognizes her. The world stops. Asher feels like he's been punched in the stomach. Brielle is there, in the same ballroom where everything began, but completely transformed. She's no longer the humble cleaning girl. She's a successful, confident woman who clearly triumphed in life. "Excuse me," he apologizes to the investor but hesitates. Part of him wants to run to her, part is afraid of what he'll find. On the other side of the ballroom, Cordelia is talking with friends when someone comments, "Cordelia, who is that elegant woman who just entered?" Cordelia turns and almost drops her champagne glass. Brielle Santos is there, at her party, in her house, as a respectable businesswoman. "It can't be," she whispers, feeling her blood freeze. Brielle walks through the ballroom, politely greeting some guests. She behaves like a businesswoman networking, but her eyes search for Asher. When their gazes finally meet across the ballroom, time stops for both of them. Asher abandons his conversation and walks hesitantly toward her. Brielle remains still, waiting, observing his every reaction. When Asher approaches, his voice comes out choked. "Brielle." "Asher." They stand there, looking at each other, carrying 3 years of unresolved pain. You look different," he says. "People change when they need to survive." Asher swallows hard. "Brielle, Not here," she interrupts, looking around. "Too many curious ears." At that moment, Cordelia approaches, trying to maintain composure but visibly shaken. "Brielle, what are you doing here?" "Mrs. Blackwell," Brielle greets coldly. "I'm the businesswoman hired to oversee the gala services." Cordelia looks confused. "Businesswoman? You have a company?" "I do. Diamond Standard Services." "You signed our contract last week." The realization hits Cordelia like lightning. She herself hired Brielle without knowing. This is a setup." "Why? Did you think I'd stay broke and humiliated forever?" Asher observes the exchange between the two women, sensing there are layers to this story he doesn't understand. "What are you two talking about?" "Asher," Brielle says calmly, "your mother and I have unfinished business. But first, I need to know, do you really want to talk to me, or are you here out of politeness?" Asher hesitates, still the conflicted man he's always been. "I want to talk, but I'm scared of what you're going to tell me." "At least you're honest." Cordelia tries to intervene. "Asher, we don't need this. Let's go home." "No, Mom. This time I want to hear what Brielle has to say." It's a small step, but it's Asher choosing Brielle over his mother for the first time. Asher leads her to a private room, adjacent to the ballroom. Cordelia tries to follow them, but Brielle stops her. "Alone, Mrs. Blackwell. The way it should have been from the beginning." In the private room, Asher faces Brielle for the first time in 3 years. "Brielle, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everything that happened." "You're sorry." Brielle maintains a controlled tone. "Asher, you abandoned me when I needed you most." "I know, and I hate myself for it every single day." Asher moves closer to her. "Brielle, I always had doubts about that day, about that man who claimed to be your father. but it was easier to believe my mother's version than face the possibility that I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. And now? Is it still easier? Asher stops, reflecting. No. Now I want the truth, even if it destroys me. Brielle observes him, seeing sincerity in his eyes, but also seeing 3 years of her own suffering. Asher, I have a daughter. Asher's heart stops. A daughter? She's 3 years old, and before you ask, yes, she's yours. Asher sits in a chair, the weight of the revelation hitting him. Why didn't you tell me? I tried. I called you, your mother called me a liar, and you hung up on me. Asher closes his eyes, remembering the call. Oh God, that's true. For 3 years, I raised our daughter alone. I worked, I studied, I built a company, all without you. Asher looks at her with admiration and pain. What's she like? Beautiful, smart, and she has your eyes. Can I meet her? Brielle hesitates. Asher, I won't expose my daughter to a man who might disappear at the first sign of trouble. I won't disappear. How can I be sure? You abandoned me once. Asher stands up, determination growing in his eyes. Because this time I'm going to fight. This time I won't let my mother or society decide for me. They return to the ballroom, where Cordelia waits nervously. She notices something different about Asher. Asher, can we go home now? No, Mom. Now I'm going to find out the truth about what happened 3 years ago. The determination in Asher's voice puts Cordelia in panic mode. Brielle approaches some nearby guests, discreetly calling attention. Excuse me, I'd like to clarify something about my presence here. A small group forms around her. Cordelia tries to stop it, but Asher holds her back. Let her speak, Mom. My name is Brielle Santos. 3 years ago, I was publicly humiliated in this very company. Some guests begin to recognize her, whispering among themselves. Today, I discovered who was responsible for that humiliation. Cordelia turns white. Brielle, don't do this. Why, Mrs. Blackwell, afraid of the truth? Brielle takes out her phone. I have here the recorded confession of Donovan Hayes, the man you paid to pretend to be my father. Asher goes pale. What? He confessed everything. How your mother sought him out, how much she paid him, what information she gave him. Asher looks at his mother, who is visibly panicking. Mom, is this true? Cordelia tries one last strategy. Asher, this woman is making things up. She wants revenge. Then let's prove it, Brielle says. Donovan is in the building lobby, ready to repeat his confession. Asher looks between the two women. Bring him up here. Asher, you can't believe. Cordelia tries. Enough! Asher explodes for the first time. Mom, I'm sick of your games. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear. 20 minutes later, Donovan Hayes comes up to the ballroom, still thin and showing signs of alcoholism, but wearing clean clothes and determined to tell the truth. The group of guests has grown. Some left uncomfortable, others stayed out of curiosity. Some are discreetly filming with phones. Brielle approaches the small stage where the party's microphone is. Excuse me, everyone. I need to clarify something important. About 50 people gather. Others continue their conversations. Some leave the party embarrassed by the drama. This is Donovan Hayes. 3 years ago, he pretended to be my father to destroy my marriage. A murmur runs through the group. Donovan takes the microphone with trembling hands. It's true. Cordelia Blackwell paid me $150,000 to lie. Cordelia tries one last card, approaching Donovan. How much is she paying you to lie now? She asks loudly. Nothing, Donovan responds firmly. I'm here because I need to clear my conscience. Asher approaches the man. Tell everything, every detail. Donovan takes a deep breath. Cordelia found me in my neighborhood, said she'd pay me to pretend to be Brielle's father. She taught me information about her life, trained me to seem convincing. Why? Asher asks, though he already suspects the answer. She said you were marrying a gold digger, that she was going to ruin your life, but I lived near Brielle. I saw her taking care of her sick mother, working honestly. She was never a gold digger. Asher turns to Cordelia, who is cornered. Mum, look me in the eyes and tell me this is a lie. Cordelia looks at her son and can't lie. The guilt is written all over her face. Asher, I just wanted to protect you. Protect me? Asher shouts, his rage finally exploding. You destroyed the woman I loved. You made me lose 3 years of my daughter's life. The guests watch in shock. Some women comment indignantly. How awful. Paying someone to lie at the altar. How cruel. Asher turns to those present. I want everyone to know. My mother destroyed my marriage out of prejudice and control. Brielle Santos is an honest woman who built a company on her own, and I intend to spend the rest of my life trying to repair the mistake I made. Cordelia realizes she's lost everything. Her son, the granddaughter she doesn't even know, her social position. Asher, please, we can talk at home. I don't want to talk to you right now. I need time away from you to decide if I can ever forgive what you did. It's not a definitive break, but it's Asher distancing himself from his mother for the first time. Brielle watches the scene with satisfaction. The truth has finally come to light. Asher approaches her. Brielle, I know I have no right to ask for anything, but can I meet my daughter? Brielle observes him for a long moment. Asher, I won't let you enter her life only to disappear later. If you want to be a father, you'll have to prove for months that you've changed. I will prove it. I don't know how yet, but I will prove it. We'll start slowly. You can meet her tomorrow, in a neutral place. After that, we'll see if you really want to be a father, or if you're just feeling guilty. Asher nods. I accept your conditions. The party is practically over. Many guests left embarrassed. Others whisper about the scandal. Cordelia leaves humiliated, alone, while Asher stays to talk with Brielle about the next steps. Donovan approaches Brielle. I hope you can forgive me someday. I'm trying, Donovan. At least today you did the right thing. The truth has finally come to light. Cordelia has been exposed. Asher has taken responsibility. But the real test is yet to come. Will Asher manage to be the father Emery deserves? Will Brielle manage to forgive 3 years of abandonment? And will Cordelia accept defeat, or is she planning final revenge? Justice has been served, but rebuilding a family is just beginning. The day after the party revelation, Asher sits in a children's cafe in Soho, more nervous than he's ever been in his life. His hands shake slightly, not just from nerves, but also because he's been sober for 2 days, trying to prepare himself to meet his daughter. Brielle enters, holding Emery's hand, a 3-year-old with green eyes identical to her father's. Asher feels his heart racing, seeing her up close for the first time. Emery, this is Asher. He's a friend of Mommy's. Brielle decides not to explain paternity immediately. She wants to see how Asher behaves before creating expectations in the child. Asher kneels to be at Emery's height. Hi, Emery, you're very pretty. Thank you, the child responds shyly, hiding behind her mother. She's a little shy with strangers, Brielle explains. The word strangers cuts Asher's heart. He's a stranger to his own daughter. Emery, would you like some ice cream? Asher asks gently. The child looks at her mother, who nods affirmatively. I want chocolate. During the next hour, Asher observes every gesture of Emery's, but she remains distant. When he tries to get closer, she backs away. When he offers toys, she accepts but doesn't interact much. She always takes time to warm up, Brielle explains, seeing Asher's frustration. Can I see her again? Once a week. Always in a public place, always by appointment. And Asher? Brielle looks at him firmly. If you miss once, it's over. I accept. In the following weeks, Asher establishes a routine but fights his demons. At the third meeting, he arrives late, and Brielle notices he drank the night before. "Asher, have you been drinking?" "Just a little, to calm my nerves." Meeting cancelled. "Brielle, please. No. If you want to be a father, you need to be sober, always." Asher goes home frustrated and drinks even more. It's the beginning of a cycle of attempts and relapses that will last for months. At the fifth meeting, 2 weeks later, Asher arrives sober, but Emery asks a question no one expected. "Why did you go away?" Asher is speechless. The 3-year-old, even without fully understanding, feels the absence. I didn't know you existed, Princess. Did Mommy cry at night? Was it because of you?" Brielle gets tense. Emery remembers more than she imagined. "Sweetie, let's talk about that at home," Brielle tries to deflect. "I don't want Mommy to cry again," Emery says, looking at Asher with distrust. Asher feels the weight of the pain he caused not only to Brielle, but also indirectly to his daughter. "I promise I'll never make your Mommy cry again." Pinky promise. Pinky promise. But Emery isn't convinced. It takes her 2 months to start genuinely interacting with Asher. Meanwhile, Cordelia lives her own private hell. For 3 months she's lost all her friends, been kicked out of the country club, and the staff resigned one by one. The huge penthouse echoes empty. She's not sorry out of love. She's sorry because she's alone. The difference is subtle, but important. "If I had known it would end like this," she murmurs to herself, looking at old photos of Asher. It's not remorse for the evil she did. It's regret for consequences she didn't foresee. 6 months after the first meetings, Asher shows signs of real improvement. He stopped drinking during the week, goes to therapy twice a week, and shows genuine interest in Emery. But he still has weekend relapses. "How was her day at daycare?" he always asks. "She got in a fight with a boy," Brielle tells him. "Said he pulled her hair." "I need to teach her to defend herself," Asher says instinctively. These are small details of fatherhood that show growth, but Brielle still keeps her guard up. A year after the meeting started, Emery finally asks, "Is he my daddy?" Brielle takes a deep breath. The child is now 4 and understands more. "Yes, honey, he's your daddy, but he went away when you were a baby." "Why?" "Because he made bad choices, but now he's trying to make good choices." "Will he go away again?" "I don't know, sweetie. That's why we're going slow." It's an honest answer that reflects Brielle's uncertainty. In the 15th month, Emery gets sick with high fever. Brielle calls Asher. "Is she okay?" he asks immediately. 102-degree fever. I'm taking her to the hospital." "Can I come?" Brielle hesitates. It would be the first time Asher accompanies her in a real parenting situation. "You can." At the hospital, Asher shows genuine concern. He stays awake all night, constantly checks Emery's temperature, tells stories to distract her. "Is Daddy staying here?" Emery asks sleepily. It's the first time she calls him Daddy spontaneously. Asher looks at Brielle, who nods affirmatively. "I'm staying, Princess." It's an important milestone, but Brielle still doesn't completely lower her guard. 18 months after the first meeting, Asher proves deeper change. Brielle needs to travel for business for 3 days, and for the first time considers leaving Emery with her father. "Are you sure?" Asher asks nervously. "If you want to be a real father, you have to take on real responsibilities." Asher spends 3 days taking care of Emery alone. He takes her to daycare, picks her up on time, tries to make dinner, burning the first attempt, gives her baths, tells her stories. On the second day, he has a relapse. Emery is sleeping and he opens a beer. But before drinking it, he looks at his daughter and throws the beer away. "Daddy can't drink when taking care of you," he says to himself. It's a small but significant victory. When Brielle returns, she finds the apartment reasonably organized and Emery happy. "How did it go?" she asks. Daddy burned the spaghetti, Emery tells her, laughing, but he ordered pizza. Asher turns red, but Brielle smiles. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. 2 years after their first meeting, Brielle finally sees consistent changes in Asher. He's been sober for 6 consecutive months. Therapy is working, and Emery genuinely bonds with her father. Asher, you've changed, Brielle admits. I'm still changing every day. Can I ask you something? Anything. What really made you stop drinking? Asher thinks for a moment. One day, Emery asked me why my eyes were always red. I realized she was associating that with sadness. I didn't want her growing up thinking her daddy was a sad person. It's an answer that shows real emotional maturity. During these 2 years, Cordelia tried several times to reconcile with Asher. All were rejected. She lives in a modest apartment in Midtown, supported by selling the penthouse, completely socially isolated. One day she goes to Brielle's company. I want to speak with Brielle Santos. Brielle receives her more out of curiosity than anything else. I came to ask to meet my granddaughter, Cordelia says directly. After 2 years? I'm alone, Brielle. Completely alone. Cordelia doesn't show genuine remorse for what she did. Only consequences she didn't foresee. I lost my friends, my position, my son. I just want to know the child. That's not my decision, it's Asher's. He won't take my calls. Then maybe you should think about why. Cordelia leaves without an answer, but Brielle mentions the request to Asher. She wants to meet Emery. Asher tenses for a long moment. What do you think? I think Emery has the right to know her grandmother, but supervised and for short periods. Asher reluctantly agrees. A week later, in Central Park, the first meeting between Cordelia and Emery takes place. Asher and Brielle watch every move. Emery, this is your grandmother Cordelia, Asher introduces coldly. Emery, now 5 years old, looks curiously at the older woman. Why are you sad? The child asks with the brutal honesty of children. Cordelia is taken aback. I'm not sad. Yes, you are. Just like Daddy used to be. Cordelia kneels to the child's height, and for the first time in months, smiles. You're very smart. Mommy says I'm intelligent like Daddy. It's a simple moment, but Cordelia finally meets the granddaughter she helped lose. 2.5 years after their first meeting, Asher finally feels ready for a bigger commitment. On a Sunday in Central Park with Emery playing on the swings, Asher asks Brielle a question. Do you think I deserve a second chance yet? Brielle observes him. 2.5 years of constant growth, therapy, maintained sobriety, responsible fatherhood. Asher, it's not about deserving. It's about whether I can trust again. And can you? I'm learning to. It's an honest answer that reflects the gradual process of rebuilding trust. Asher takes a small box from his pocket and kneels in front of Brielle. Brielle Santos, 5 years ago I asked you to marry me for the wrong reasons, at the wrong time. Today I'm asking again, will you try again? Knowing it won't be perfect, that we'll have problems, but that I'll fight every day to be the man you both deserve. Brielle looks at Asher, at Emery who stopped playing to watch, and at the 2.5 years of growth she witnessed. Yes, but we're taking it slow. Emery runs to hug them both. Are we going to live together? We're going to live together, Princess, Asher responds, and you won't leave any more. Never again. This time the promise carries the weight of experience. 6 months later, they marry in a simple ceremony at the New York Public Library. Emery is the flower girl, but during the ceremony she asks loudly, "Why is everyone crying?" The childish spontaneity relieves the tension that naturally exists. Brielle still has moments of anxiety, Asher still struggles with insecurity, but they're building something real. Cordelia is present, sitting in the back, but the relationship remains tense. Asher tolerates her for his daughter's sake, not out of forgiveness. When the officiant asks if anyone has objections, there's a moment of tense silence. Everyone remembers what happened 5 years ago, but this time no one stands up. Asher and Brielle kiss as husband and wife, while Emery claps and shouts, "We did it!" A year after the wedding, they have normal couple arguments. Asher sometimes gets impatient. Brielle is sometimes too controlling. But they learn to resolve conflicts without running away. "Sometimes I'm still scared," Brielle confesses one night. "Of what?" "That you'll give up when things get tough." "I understand. I'll have to prove that every day for the rest of my life." It's a mature response that shows understanding of reality. Emery, now 6 years old, sometimes asks why Grandma Cordelia lives alone. "Because she did bad things," Asher explains simply. "Can't she say sorry?" "Some things are hard to forgive, Princess. Cordelia visits once a month, always supervised. She hasn't changed completely. She still makes subtly manipulative comments, still tries to control situations. But she's learned the boundaries. Brielle's company has grown to 80 employees. It's not an empire, but it's a solid, respected business." Asher helps with the administrative side, applying his business experience. Donovan managed to stay sober for long periods, but had several relapses. He works part-time as a maintenance worker at the company, part of a rehabilitation program. It's not a complete redemption story, but one of constant struggle. 5 years after their first meeting, Asher and Brielle don't have a perfect marriage, but they have a real one. They argue about money, Emery's education, division of household chores. "Sometimes I wonder if we did the right thing," Brielle says during a fight about Emery's discipline. "Do you regret it?" Asher asks, worried. "No, but sometimes it's hard. For me, too. It's honesty that sustains the relationship." Emery, now 8 years old, better understands the family's history. "Daddy, why did it take you and Mummy so long to get married?" "Because Daddy needed to learn to be a better person." "And did you learn?" "I'm still learning." Cordelia, at 66, lives a small but dignified life. She sees her granddaughter regularly, but never recovered her social position or close relationship with Asher. She pays all the consequences of her choices, but isn't destroyed. The humiliated cleaning girl became a respected businesswoman and wife who still struggles with insecurities. The cowardly man became a present father who still battles addictions. The child who was born without a father now has an imperfect but real family. And Cordelia learned that some actions have permanent consequences. She lost control over her son, but gained a granddaughter who visits her and a life that, while lonely, has dignity. True love won, but it wasn't easy, it wasn't quick, and it wasn't perfect. It was real. Emery grows up knowing that people can change, that mistakes have consequences, but that it's also possible to rebuild trust through time and consistent actions. In the end, everyone paid for their choices and had the chance to grow through the consequences. Some wounds healed, others left permanent scars. But a family was built not in perfection, but in persistence, in gradual forgiveness, and in the daily choice to try to be better. Did you like this story? Do you think Cordelia deserved forgiveness? Let us know in the comments. Until the next story.